Throwaway, BC, my family stalks my main account. I feel like I'm going crazy, and my entire family is lying to me about some secret they're all keeping. I've always felt like the odd one out at family events, but this Thanksgiving basically confirmed that I'm being deliberately excluded from something major. Am I the idiot for refusing to come to Christmas until someone tells me what the hell is going on? So I, female, 26, have always had this weird feeling at family gatherings that everyone's acting strange around me. Like, conversations would stop when I entered a room, or people would give each other these looks when I asked certain questions. I chalked it up to being paranoid or whatever, but honestly, it's been getting worse over the past few months. Some background. I'm the youngest in my family by like 8 years, so I've always been treated as the baby, even though I'm a whole-ass adult with my own apartment and career. My parents, dad, male, 54, mom, female, 52, have this thing where they try to protect me from family stuff, which usually just means I find out about stuff way after everyone else. Like when my uncle got divorced last year, I was literally the last person to know, even though I talked to him regularly. But this Thanksgiving was just different, and not in a good way. So we're all sitting around the dinner table. My parents, my Aunt Sarah and Uncle Mike, my other Uncle David, Dad's brother, and some cousins. Everyone's sharing these funny family stories from when we were kids. You know how families do. And I'm laughing along, but I wanted to jump in with something. My mom had mentioned to me last week about this time I won the school science fair in 4th grade and how proud everyone was. So I brought it up to Uncle Mike about how excited he was and how he took pictures of everything. And I swear to God, the entire table went silent. Uncle Mike just stared at me with this confused look and glanced at my parents. My mom immediately jumped in, saying that was so long ago and people don't remember every little detail. And my dad immediately changed the subject to football. Like, what? It was my science fair win. Why would Uncle Mike look confused about that? And why did everyone act like I'd said something inappropriate? The whole rest of dinner felt really awkward after that. People were being extra nice to me in that fake way that makes you feel worse, if that makes sense. But then things got even weirder when I was helping my Aunt Sarah clear dishes in the kitchen. She seemed really emotional and kept sighing. And then she told me that everyone's going through such a difficult time right now and that everyone needs to stick together. So obviously I asked what difficult time she was talking about, and she gets this panicked look and says, it's just general family stuff, nothing specific. But I kept pushing because what general family stuff? I literally have no idea what she's referring to. And she gets all flustered and yells for my mom, who comes rushing in like the kitchen was on fire and immediately starts talking about dessert options. I mean, come on, that's not suspicious at all, right? The whole rest of the evening, I'm watching everyone, and it's like they're all in on some secret that I'm not part of. People would start sentences and then catch themselves. My cousin kept giving me these weird sympathetic looks. Uncle David barely talked to me at all, which is super unlike him. So finally, at the end of the night, I told my parents I won't be coming to Christmas because I'm tired of feeling like I don't belong in my own family. And oh my God, the reaction I got. My dad immediately got pissed and told me I was creating problems out of nothing and imagining things when the family already has enough problems. Then my mom started crying and begging me not to abandon the family right now when they need me most. Like, what? First of all, Dad literally just said the family has enough problems, which proves I'm not imagining that something's wrong. And Mom talking about abandoning the family right now and them needing me most. That's not normal holiday guilt trip language. When I pointed this out, they both got even more defensive. Dad said I was reading into innocent comments, and Mom said I was being too much over nothing. But if it's nothing, why are you both acting like I'm threatening to abandon ship during a crisis? I've been thinking about this for 2 days, and I keep coming back to the same conclusion. Something major is happening that everyone knows about, except me. And instead of being honest with me, they're all pretending everything's normal while treating me like I'm fragile or something. I don't think I'm being unreasonable here. I'm 26 years old, I have my own life, I can handle whatever family stuff is happening. But being lied to and excluded is actually worse than just dealing with whatever the truth is. My mom's been texting me nonstop since Thursday, asking me to reconsider Christmas and saying how much it would hurt the family if I don't come. But she still won't tell me what's actually going on. Am I being an asshole for basically holding Christmas hostage until someone tells me the truth? Because honestly, I feel like I'm going insane with all this secrecy, and I don't know what else to do. Edit 1. Since people are asking, no, I haven't tried directly confronting other family members. My parents have always been the point people for family communication, and going around them feels like it would make things worse. Edit 2. To those saying I'm overreacting to people forgetting old stories, it wasn't just the science fair thing. There have been dozens of these weird moments over the past few months where conversations stop or people act strange when I ask normal questions. Edit 3. Yes, I've considered that maybe someone is sick or dying, but the way people are acting doesn't match that kind of crisis. It feels more like they're protecting me from something they think I can't handle, which is honestly insulting. Edit 4. For people asking about family finances, my dad has always been successful and helps other family members when they need it. If anything, we're probably the most financially stable people in the extended family, so I don't think it's money problems. Edit 5. I'm not trying to punish anyone by skipping Christmas. I genuinely don't want to sit through another dinner feeling like an outsider in my own family. If that makes me selfish, then I guess I'm selfish. Now for the first update. You were all right about my family hiding something from me. I confronted my parents yesterday, and honestly, I wish I was still in the dark because this is so much worse than I thought. So after reading all your comments, thank you by the way, I felt like I was going crazy. I decided I needed to actually force this conversation instead of waiting for them to volunteer information. I called my mom Saturday morning and told her I was coming over and we were going to sit down and talk about whatever family crisis everyone's been tiptoeing around. I even wrote down all the weird incidents from the past few months on my phone so they couldn't just lie to me again about imagining things, like specific dates when conversations stopped when I walked in or when people gave each other those looks. When I got there, my parents tried their usual routine. My dad said there was nothing going on, and my mom started getting all hurt, asking why I don't trust them. But honestly, I was so done with the runaround. I pulled out my phone and told them I was already starting to distance myself from family on social media, which was true. I'd unfollowed a bunch of relatives that morning, and that I was prepared to go no contact until someone started being honest with me. I think seeing it written down on my phone made it real for them. Like they realized I'd been keeping track of all these incidents and dates. My mom looked at my list, and her face just crumpled. And then she just started sobbing, like ugly crying, the kind where you can barely breathe. She kept saying she couldn't do it anymore, and that she was so tired of pretending everything was fine. My dad was trying to stop her, but she was like completely breaking down. And then it all came out. My dad lost his job 3 months ago. 3 months. In August. And he's been pretending to go to work every single day since then. I could not process this information. Like, my brain just stopped working for a minute, because this was so far from what I was expecting. Apparently, he leaves the house every morning at his normal time and spends 8 hours at different libraries and coffee shops around town applying for jobs. He's been rotating between like 3 different libraries, so no one sees him in the same place too often. My mom said she's been stress cleaning the house obsessively, which explains why everything's been weirdly spotless lately, and they've been avoiding making any plans for Christmas or talking about next year because they're terrified about money running out. The worst part is when I looked back at all my weird family moments, they all started happening right around when Dad lost his job. The conversations stopping when I walked in. They were probably talking about money stuff, people acting strange when I mentioned normal family things. They were all trying not to slip up about Dad being unemployed. Like my whole theory about being excluded from some family secret was right, but it was never about me personally. It was about them being too ashamed to admit that the family provider couldn't provide anymore. I immediately told them I wanted to help. I have savings, I could contribute to bills, I could help Dad update his resume, whatever they needed. I mean, that's what family does, right? But my dad got so defensive, like scary defensive. He stormed out of the kitchen, saying he doesn't need charity from his own daughter and that he's not a failure who needs rescuing by his kid. My mom just kept crying and saying she knows she should have told me sooner, but Dad made her promise not to tell anyone, not even my uncles. She said she's been dying inside, watching me think the family weirdness was somehow my fault. I've been thinking about this for 24 hours now, and I'm still processing it all. On one hand, I'm relieved that I wasn't going crazy, and there really was something big being hidden. But on the other hand, my dad has been lying to everyone for months, and apparently his pride is more important than accepting help from his own daughter. Also, what if I hadn't pushed for this conversation? Were they just going to keep pretending until their savings ran out completely? Were they going to lose the house rather than tell anyone they needed help? I don't even know how to act around them now. My mom keeps texting me asking if I'm coming to Christmas and acting like everything's normal again now that the secret is out. But Dad hasn't contacted me at all since he stormed out yesterday. I feel like I know even less about my family than I did before. At least when I thought they were hiding something from me, I could imagine it was to protect me or whatever. But finding out they were hiding something about themselves is somehow worse. Like they'd rather let me think I was the problem than admit they needed support. I don't know what to do with any of this information, honestly. Some people are asking how my dad lost his job. Honestly, I didn't get details because everything was so emotional yesterday. My mom just said there were problems at work, but Dad shut down completely when I tried to ask more. I'm not sure if he got laid off or fired or what exactly happened. To answer questions about whether this explains the uncle reactions at Thanksgiving, I think so. My Uncle Mike probably knew something was up, even if he didn't know specifically about the job. And my Aunt Sarah's comment about difficult times makes more sense now, though I still don't know if she knows the details or was just picking up on general stress. For those asking about Dad's field, he's in management at a big company, trying to stay vague for privacy. He's been there for like 15 years, so this isn't some entry-level job he can easily replace. I think that's part of why he's having such a hard time with it. Since people are suggesting family therapy, good luck getting my dad to agree to that. He won't even let me help with his resume. He's always been weird about accepting help with anything, but this is next level. I'm starting to realize there's probably way more pride, shame stuff going on here than I ever understood about him. Now for the second update. Okay, there is so much to unpack here, and honestly, I'm still trying to process everything that's happened since my last post. So you guys were right that pushing for the truth was the right move, but I was not prepared for how deep this goes. I thought finding out about Dad's job loss was the end of it. Turns out there was way more. After my last post, I decided I needed to start getting some kind of family help for my parents. I mean, my dad can be prideful all he wants, but 3 months of unemployment is serious, and they're going to need help whether he likes it or not. So after a few days of thinking about it, I called my Uncle David, figuring I'd start there. I was planning to break the news gently and then maybe talk to other family members to figure out how we could all help without making Dad feel like charity or whatever. I start the conversation like, "Hey, Uncle David, I need to talk to you about something serious with Dad," and I'm getting ready to explain the whole job situation. But before I can even get into it, he just sighs really heavily and goes, "I wondered when he'd finally tell you." And I'm like, "What? Wait." But Mom said Dad made her promise not to tell anyone, not even the uncles. I guess that promise didn't last very long. So I ask him what he means by that, and his tone completely changes. Like he gets sharp and bitter and mutters something about Dad making his own problems like always, and how some people never learn when to keep their heads down. I'm immediately defensive because what the hell is that supposed to mean? Dad lost his job. He didn't murder someone. Why is Uncle David acting like this is somehow Dad's fault? And that's when I realize Uncle David thinks I know way more than I actually do. Turns out, my dad didn't just randomly lose his job. He got fired for creating a hostile work environment, which is apparently corporate speak for making waves about harassment complaints. Are you kidding me? So the story Uncle David tells me is that my cousin Emma filed harassment complaints against her supervisor a few months ago. Normal stuff. Inappropriate comments, trying to touch her shoulders, asking her out repeatedly after she said no, you know the drill. But apparently, when the company tried to handle it by quietly transferring the supervisor to a different department, my dad completely lost it. Started threatening to expose their pattern of covering up harassment, demanded they actually fire the guy, basically made himself a huge problem for HR, and the company fired him for it. Uncle David's telling me this like it's common knowledge, and I'm just sitting here like, nobody thought to mention this to me. I've been feeling guilty for months, thinking I was imagining family problems, when actually there's been this whole workplace harassment situation that got my dad fired and apparently split the entire extended family into factions. But wait, it gets worse. While I'm still processing this information, Uncle David asks if I've been keeping up with the family group chat. And I'm like, what family group chat? Apparently there's been this ongoing family text thread for months about this whole situation, and somehow I was never added to it. So my cousin Emma texts me like an hour later asking if I know about the situation now and adds me to this group chat called Family Discussion that has like 15 people in it. And oh my God, I scrolled back through months of messages and it's just complete chaos. Everyone taking sides and arguing about whether dad did the right thing or completely screwed over his own family for something that wasn't his business. My Aunt Sarah keeps posting these passive-aggressive messages about how dad's show-off moves made everything worse for Emma because now she has to deal with workplace problems and guilt about dad losing his job because of her. But then Emma's defending dad, saying he's the only one who actually stood up for her when everyone else was telling her to just deal with it and not rock the boat. And Uncle David is caught in the middle because apparently Aunt Sarah has been giving him hell for months about supporting dad's troublemaking, and it's causing problems in their marriage. The messages are just brutal. People saying stuff like dad destroyed his family's financial security and never thinks about consequences, but then other people calling those relatives victim blamers and part of the problem. I'm reading through all this and realizing that everyone knew about this except me. All those weird conversations that stopped when I walked in the room, all those sympathetic looks, all that stuff about the family going through a difficult time. It was about this. But also, like, now all those care packages that keep showing up at our house make sense. I kept asking Mom about them, and she'd get weird and say they were from Family Who Cares. Turns out it's Emma sending groceries and stuff because she feels guilty that Dad lost his job defending her. And my dad won't even acknowledge the packages exist because he's so ashamed about the whole situation. I'm so confused about how to feel about any of this. Like, on one hand, I'm proud of Dad for standing up for Emma when the company was trying to sweep harassment under the rug. That's exactly the kind of thing he should do. But on the other hand, 3 months of lying to me, letting me think I was going crazy instead of just explaining that there were family problems happening, acting like accepting help from his own daughter was beneath him when he's been accepting care packages from the niece he got fired defending. And apparently his principles have been causing marriage problems for Uncle David and Aunt Sarah because she blames Dad for making Emma's work situation worse by forcing the company to take sides. Uncle David messaged me privately after I got added to the group chat. He said Aunt Sarah has been threatening to limit his access to their kids if he keeps publicly supporting Dad's troublemaking because she thinks Dad's approach made everything worse for everyone. So now, Uncle David has to choose between supporting his brother and keeping peace in his own marriage, which explains why he sounded so bitter on the phone. I've been staring at my phone for hours trying to figure out how to respond to any of these family group chat messages. Like, what am I supposed to say? Sorry I've been out of the loop while you all argued about my father's employment situation for 3 months. I feel like I don't know anyone in my family anymore. How did a workplace harassment complaint turn into this massive family war where people are choosing sides and threatening each other's marriages? And why was protecting me from family problems more important than letting me actually support my own parents through a crisis? I haven't talked to my parents since I found all this out because honestly I don't even know what to say. Do I bring up the group chat? Do I pretend I still only know about the job loss? Do I confront them about lying again? This is so much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Edit. 1. To everyone asking if Emma is okay. From what I can tell from the group chat, she's still dealing with workplace problems, but has been trying to downplay it so Dad doesn't feel worse about getting fired. 2. For those wondering about the timeline, this all started in August, which matches exactly when the weird family stuff started around me 3. Yes, I'm planning to talk to Emma directly, but honestly, I'm still processing the fact that there's been this whole family civil war happening without me.